Hey, what's up, guys? So per Kirk's request, I decided I'd hop back on. Figure I'd do or somebody else actually said to do a mukbang too. So I am back for at least as long as it takes me to finish my salad. And so if you have any questions, let me know. We can do like a Q&A slash mukbang type thing. But until I start seeing some questions come through, I'm just going to eat. And if no questions come through by the time I finish my salad, I guess we'll do it another time. What's up, Kirk? So I don't really know how to do this live stream very well. So I'm going to hopefully try and stumble through this. But let's see. How to stay satisfied during the winter. So definitely you want to make sure you're eating enough food. That's definitely key. You don't want to, it's difficult, especially depends on where you live. If you live somewhere like Minnesota, like I do, and it's probably this way, around the country where, the variety gets so low. It's like we have apples, bananas, citrus starts to come in, but it can be kind of difficult. So you just want to make sure that you're eating enough food, make these big salads like this, do smoothies, and don't, I feel like this is where a lot of people run into issues is they feel like they have to stay 100% raw. You can add some whole foods, some steamed vegetables to your salad, and, you don't have to stay 100% raw. So I think that's my big thing to tell people is if you want to succeed long term, don't be super rigid, If you can get some variety that keeps you satisfied, then that's great. But if you're feeling like, you're just kind of, white knuckling it through the entire winter, don't be afraid to include some whole food, cooked vegan foods. That's probably, I think, important for a lot of people to do. Cooked food addictions. It can definitely be addicting. I don't feel like, unless it's something that you're finding is like negatively impacting your life, I don't necessarily feel like people have to completely cut out cooked food unless they want to. I feel like, again, that's where, there's so many people that are, so-called going back to eating animal products after being vegan because they, I don't know that I like using the term purist mindset, but I feel like people just get into these mindsets where they have to, just stick to something that they're not comfortable doing. If you incorporate, just go like 80-20, 80% raw food, 20% cooked food. And as you're more comfortable with it and you really got it down where it's almost, it's like breathing, it's just effortless, then go like 90% raw, 10% cooked, and so on. So you just keep, if you're trying to get 100% raw, then just keep narrowing that gap where you're eating just a little cooked food and then until you're good eating no cooked food at all. That's pretty much what I did. And I don't feel like I was ever really addicted to cooked food. It is good, and it can be kind of addicting, I guess. You have it a few times and then, you just want to keep having it, for dinner, probably. That's where, when I start eating cooked food, then I'll do it for a little while, like maybe a week or two. But it's pretty easy for me to just give up, or, you know, cut it back out once I feel like I've got enough variety. So, you know, just take it slow. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't be too rigid. And, you know, as you start to get more comfortable with it, you'll be able to just kind of cut it out. Oh, thank you, Iwana. Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Mary. Nice to see ya. My thoughts or feelings on World War II? Is that WW2? Not too sure. I don't have many thoughts on that. I don't know what you're referring to, actually. Mindful herbivore. Hey. So again, guys, if you didn't catch it, I'm eating salad here with some orange curry dressing. Check out the live stream I did just like 10 minutes ago for the recipe. You can build muscle on a raw vegan diet. You can build muscle really on any diet. It's really just about working out your muscles, eating enough food, getting enough calories in. And if you're working out as much as you need to build muscle, then you'll build muscle. I drink reverse osmosis water. I want to get a distiller. So reverse osmosis or distilled water, I think, is the best way to go. And then get a lot of your hydration from raw fruits and vegetables as well. That's going to be the best source. Protein powders, I don't think is necessary. Garden of Life protein powders, that seems to be the one that a lot of raw vegans or vegans prefer. So that might be a good brand when it comes to protein powders. But I don't use protein powders, and I don't really think they're necessary. I think it's just more about getting enough whole foods into you, so you're getting more calories, and that way you're getting more protein that way in the right proportions, you know, rather than just isolating protein and consuming that. I don't think that's a healthy way to go. So if you're eating more food, then you're going to be getting more protein. So that's what I would suggest. Yeah, and I built just as much muscle eating raw as I did in my previous lifestyle when I wasn't raw and when I wasn't vegan. So
On the same one?
yeah, guys, sorry about that. My Wi-Fi dropped. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I build just as much muscle now as I did before. You know, I was even vegan. So I probably looked a little bigger back then because I had a lot more inflammation and fat on my body. Now I'm much more lean, but the same level of muscle, you know, I'm still achieving the same amount of muscle. So you definitely don't need a lot of cooked food or animal products to build muscle. So. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the longer you go about doing this, you know, eating this way, the simpler it really gets. I didn't always eat this simple. You know, I used to make a lot more elaborate things, but as you get more comfortable with it, it's easier to figure out simpler ways to do it, like anything that you're doing. So yeah, I mean, just keep working at it, and it gets easier as you go. All right, Mindful Herbivore says, when you're going raw, do you need to emphasize on eating more greens? I personally think, because bananas are your staple. Yeah, that's fine. But yes, I would encourage you to eat more greens. That's what I find helps to really, my muscle, I feel like I build more muscle when I'm eating more greens. Fruits, they're really like the energy source. They're a lot of, they're hydrating, they're, high carb, and the greens are like, they're the concentrated amino acids. So you'll really, at least personally, I find my workouts, and I just feel like my muscle gain is a little better when I'm consuming more greens. So yeah, definitely. All right, Kirk asked, have I ever done a fast, a long-term fast? So I've done several 1 to 3 day fasts. My longest fast it was like 7.5 days. So, yeah, 7.5, it's like 7.5 days or so. That's my longest one. I don't, I'm starting to see a trend with YouTubers and promoting fasting, and I've done it myself, and I think fasting is outstanding, and it can definitely be a terrific tool for healing and cleansing your body. But the way a lot of people are doing this on YouTube now, it's just like fasting after fasting. They get into juice fasting, and then they get into water fasting, and then they get into intermittent fasting, and then they narrow their window down to like 1 meal a day. Personally, I don't think that is a sustainable way to live. And the trend is starting to show us that the people that are doing these things are going away from veganism. They're blaming the veganism, or they're blaming veganism, they're blaming plant-based diets for not feeling well, when actually they're just, they're not giving their body all of the, the nutrition and the calories that it needs to function correctly. So, yeah, I think fasting is awesome, but I think it needs to be done properly and, in a balanced way. Raw LEK MD, good to see ya. Yeah, I can see a lot of people going raw in 2019 as well. And yes, definitely greens. Jim Durkin asked, what do I think about fermented foods? Do I include them? Fermented foods, I'm not too big on them. I'll have sauerkraut or kimchi every once in a while, but I don't necessarily think that they're necessary to, promote optimal gut bacteria, gut balance. Especially if you're eating a raw vegan diet, your microbiome should be pretty optimal at that point. Or even if you're just eating basically a whole foods plant-based diet, you're going to have good gut bacteria down there. It's really, promoted more for the people that are eating a lot of, the majority of their diet is cooked dead food and animal products, so I think fermented foods are fine to have in the diet, but You know, I don't think that they're absolutely necessary, so I'll have them every once in a while. Can you guys hear me okay? Is the sound okay? I'm not sure how, I'm in my kitchen and it's kind of echoey in here, so just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. A lot of ex-vegans are going carnivore. Yeah, honestly, it doesn't make sense to me. it's just a fad. It's gonna fade out. You know, there's no way that I don't even want to call it a diet. I mean, that it's just a fad. It's not gonna last. And the people that are promoting it now, you'll see them promoting some other fad coming up. You know, whatever the next fad is, they'll jump over to that. So. It's just one of those things, you know, these things always come up and they like to ride off of the back of veganism. You know, veganism is getting so popular. People think that everybody's leaving veganism because like 5 vegan YouTubers stopped being vegan. That's 5 people. Veganism is growing exponentially. So, you know, veganism is, there's nothing, you know, it's not stalling the movement. The movement is growing, and these people are just, you know, they're hopping from one thing to the next. So, you know, just continue to follow people that are, you know, staying true to their morals and that, you know, are giving good information, and, you know, that's all you can do. Hey, Tattooed Vegan. Kirk, I agree. Let's do it. Yeah, definitely share this. Share my videos. Get them out there. 2019, I want to see 100K for subscribers. Make sure you hit that little bell. I guess that's important. So, want to make sure you're getting my videos, notifications. Tips for male pattern baldness. Yeah, it seems to be partially genetic. I do think that diet has a lot to do with it, and lifestyle. Personally, that was like for me, like age, like 17 to 25, totally consumed my life. I was looking for every pill and potion and procedure that I could do in order to save my hair. I wish right at 17 I would have found the raw vegan diet, because now, so first of all, none of those pills, potions, or procedures worked for me. But going raw vegan, I don't feel, the lighting right now isn't very good, so it's kind of hard to see, but I really haven't had any additional hair loss occur, and I do feel like my hair grows way faster now, and it might be thicker. It's really hard to tell, but at least it hasn't progressed, and I think that's pretty awesome. I really don't care anymore. Yeah, I'd like to have my hair back, but it's not something that really bothers me anymore. So I'm fine either way, because I know that my overall health is going to be really good from the way that I live and the way that I eat now. So, there's people out there, I know how devastating it can be to start losing your hair. But you just have to, you got to find something that is going to allow you to really emotionally detox, and that is what the raw vegan diet did for me. It allowed me to let go of a lot of the attachments I had with my hair and just with other things in general. Going raw has given me just the clarity and connection with myself to, let go of that attachment to my hair and to be, confident with who I am as a person, as a soul, in spiritual terms. I'm just so much more in tune with myself, and so I'm not as attached to my physical appearance like I was earlier in my life. So it's really just about, finding the self-confidence and the assurance that you have in yourself, trusting your intuition, and, if you can get your hair back, awesome. But if not, don't let that control your life, because, I missed out on a lot of opportunities, just going out with my friends because I was worried about my hair. And now I wish I wouldn't have, but, those are the things that kind of make us who we are, right? We learn from our experiences, and that allows us to help other people. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. Not sure, but thanks for the question. Yeah. Shaving my hair was one of the most freeing things that I've ever done for myself. Kirk asked, have I ever seen anyone reverse hair baldness? I have not. Nope. Unfortunately, I was hoping to be the first one that I know of, but hasn't happened yet. Hey, who knows? We'll see what happens in 2019, right? Share my videos. Mindful Herbivore asked, how old was I when I went raw? Well, I was about... So I got into this lifestyle, into the detoxification and, plant-based eating when I was 25 years old. And it took me, from when I was 25 to, it took me about 6 months or so to really start getting deeply into raw. Before then, I was eating, just mostly plant-based. And then I got into, really getting into raw about 6 months later, 6 months to a year. So, 25 years old, and I am 32 now. Iwana says, imagine people sitting down to socialize with big bowls of fruit and vegetable goodness. How good the world could be. I completely agree. The more people we get eating this way, living this way, the more they're going to open up to how much we are all connected, and the world will definitely become a much better place. Oh, thank you, Mindful Herbivore. Thank you. Chantel Marie asked or said, I have a problem with having an emotional dependence on food. Does that get easier the more we detox from the bad food? Yeah, it does. The longer, I actually just wrote a post on this that's going to be going on the website vegbite.com. I definitely recommend people check out vegbite.com, and I'll put a link in the description box of this video to Vegbite. It's a resource for people wanting to be plant-based, and it's got like a bunch of recipe roundups, to give you guys recipe ideas. It's not really focused on raw or anything or veganism. It's just plant-based, giving recipes, helping people transition, things like that. But yeah, like the emotional attachments to foods, a lot of that can be just the gut microbiome that we have built up over time. So when your gut microbiome is used to getting certain foods, the foods that we're eating is what is going to dictate the type of bacteria that is in our microbiome, in our gut. And so the gut bacteria actually have the power to signal our brain and influence us to make decisions on what to eat. So if you're building up your gut bacteria off of, junk food, a lot of processed food, then that is what the gut bacteria are living off of, and that's what they're going to want more of. So they're going to send signals to your brain and try and get you to keep giving them that food. So the longer you can go without the foods that you don't want to be depending on, get rid of them. Find ways to replace those foods with healthier options, like these big salads. The more fruits and vegetables you can get down into your gut, the better your gut microbiome is going to be, and the healthier choices your gut microbiome is going to want you to make. And so just focus on, getting rid of the foods that you don't want to be eating and eating more of the foods that you do want to be eating. I know that sounds super simple, but, that's really what it comes down to a lot of the time. You never know. Mindful herbivore, huge inspiration. Thank you very much. I'm currently 18, so thinking about changing to raw. Awesome. Yeah, go for it. See how you like it. Kirk, is there a way to clean your gut bacteria? Basically, like I just said, you can change your gut bacteria simply by just switching over to high fiber, high hydrating foods, full of antioxidants, all that stuff. Just whole plant foods. That's going to help clean out your gut bacteria and switch it over to the gut bacteria that you want down there. What do I think? Tattooed Vegan asked, what do I think about OMAD? I'm not a fan. I think it's kind of ridiculous. It's just not sustainable. And that's one of the common denominators when it comes to these people that are going away from a plant-based diet. They're trying to, especially if you're eating raw, I think it's a one-way ticket to not succeeding with the diet and wanting to go off and do other things. It's just, how natural is that to pack in 2,000 to 3,000 calories within a couple hours? It just doesn't make sense to me personally. If somebody's out there that's doing it and they're feeling really good on it, then I see nothing wrong with it. But I just personally wouldn't promote it to people because I don't think most people are going to be able to do it in a successful way. And to me, it just doesn't make practical sense. I don't think that I know of, there's nothing in nature that just eats within an hour or two, all of its food for the day. So, yeah, that's my thoughts. Tattooed Vegan, are you talking about how long does it take to kind of change your gut bacteria? If that's what you mean, it's really different for everybody. It, depends on what you've got going on in your microbiome. So, it could take a month, it could take 6 months, it just really depends. Okay, yeah. My favorite fruit or vegetable, is it red is rad? My favorite fruit or vegetable, it's really hard to determine, to narrow it down to one. And it really, it changes all the time, honestly. It depends on when you're asking me, like what the season is. It could be mango, it could be watermelon, it could be durian, it could be grapes. It changes all the time, but durian's got to be up there. I love durian. If it wasn't so expensive, I would be buying that every week. Chantel, do I do one-on-one consulting? I do. Yep, I do. You can just go to my website, myrontuition.com, and message me there. We can set something up if you'd like. Mindful Herbivore says, will eating raw help benefit your mood? Lately, I've been feeling kind of down and depressed. Been there. But yes, it definitely does. For me personally, made a huge difference. I was never like a rude, that I know of, rude or just like unpleasant to be around, but just internally, just my overall well-being has improved tremendously from being raw, and that leaks into all other areas of your life. So my mood, definitely I think has improved from eating raw. Jer, my coaching can be either online or in person. It's mostly online though. Kirk says there's an insane amount of estrogen in meat and dairy. It's causing men to have breasts. Yeah, it is. Tattooed Vegan said, have you ever watched Snake Diet on YouTube? Thoughts on all that and fasting? I have not watched the Snake Diet. I've heard of it, but I've never taken the time to go over to it. It really just isn't anything that I'm really interested in. There is somebody around on YouTube. I see they put Snake Diet just as a comment, so they're trying to get people to go out and look at it. But just the name, I just have no interest in it. But yeah, I've heard about like fasting things, so it might have some beneficial parts of it, but I think overall, I'm assuming it's based on animal products, so it's really nothing I'm interested in, and I don't think it's a healthy way to live if that's really what it. Again, I don't know much about it, but if it involves animal products and fasting, I really don't. No need for me to check it out. Gone with the Kale. Hey, good to see you. Thank you. You're welcome, Mindful Herbivore. Yeah, I don't know anything about the Snake Diet guy. But again, I have no interest in going to check him out. What's life? Hey, how are you doing? Asked, do you count calorie intake or just eat when hungry? I do not count calories. I really never have. I just eat when I'm hungry. I eat till I'm full, and that's it. Pretty simple. I did, just to see what kind of level of calories I was taking in. A few weeks ago, I put it all in the chronometer, and I was at like 2,300 calories. So that's I'm probably right around 2,000, 2,300 calories most of the time. I've been eating more lately because I am trying to, put on a little more muscle. but you know, it's probably right around 2 you know, give or take a couple hundred calories, right around 2,000. Mindful Herbivore asked, how did you become a health practitioner? Did you need some kind of certification? So I have a couple certifications. One is a raw food chef and educator from, at the time it was called the Graf Academy of Raw Food Education in Atlanta, Georgia. I highly recommend checking it out. I think they might have changed the name, but if you search that, you'll find it. Gideon Graf is the instructor there, and I think he has someone else maybe helping him out. I'm not exactly sure. But terrific course. It really gives you just a really solid foundation of knowledge when it comes to raw food and just plant-based eating, and then how to, if you're interested in starting any sort of business with that as your focus, he really teaches you how to do that. So whether you want to like start a juice shop, whether you want to be like a health coach, or you want to do, you know, raw food chef sort of stuff, you know, he really goes into how you can make that happen. So I found that extremely helpful and one of the, you know, most enjoyable experiences that I've ever had. So, and then also I got a detox specialist certification from Dr. Robert Morse down in Sarasota, Florida. Can you hear my crunchy salad? I didn't think the microphone was going to pick up this very well, but good. Is it okay to eat fruit on the unripe side? I tend to enjoy some fruits that way. I mean, if you enjoy it, sure, go for it, but I think most people are going to enjoy fruit when it's as ripe as possible. Plus, when it is really ripe, then it's going to have more nutrients in it. So it's going to be easier to digest. The longer that it's left on the plant, it's going to take up more nutrients. It's going to be more alkaline. And so hopefully we can get as much fruit that is as close to being optimally ripe as possible. That's going to probably give us the best health outcomes. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoy some unripe or just like slightly unripe fruit, then you know, I don't see anything wrong with that. Gone with the Kale says, Snake Diet Guy is all about meat. Rich Roll's latest video briefly discussed how too much protein is why people get cancers in the older years. Yeah. I figured he was about meat, so that's why. I mean, just the name, Snake Diet. Like, why? It's just no interest for me. Tattooed Vegan says, do you feel fruit and green smoothies are unhealthy because they are blended? No, I definitely do not think so. I know there are some people that think so, but a lot of them say that because you've blended the fiber, they're going to absorb too quickly and cause blood sugar spikes. I have taken my blood sugar after drinking straight watermelon juice, and I think the highest my blood glucose got up to was like 112 or 120. So there's actually, it's not just fiber that regulates our absorption of the glucose into the bloodstream. There's antioxidants that buffer that, and other constituents in the fruits and vegetables that help besides the fiber. So I'm not saying don't eat fiber. I think fiber is extremely important, but if you're gonna have some smoothies or juices, incorporate it into your whole food plant-based diet, you know, I see absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think it's very healthy. Does Robert Morse eat cooked foods? I hear from a blog that he enjoys Indian cuisine. Yeah, he does eat cooked foods. Dr. Morse doesn't tell people that they have to be raw. Like, he says if they've got very serious conditions, getting as close to all fruit as possible is going to be best. But he says multiple times that detox is not a lifestyle. Detox is just a healing modality, and whatever you do after you're done detoxing, you don't have to be 100% raw or 100% fruit or anything like that. You know, we're here to enjoy life. We're here to experience things. And as long as you're not, you know, imposing, your choices don't impose on other people's or other creatures, you know, lives, then, you know, I don't think you have to be 100% raw. So, but yeah, so he doesn't say that you have to be 100% raw for, you know, like your whole life. Pure Living Nutrition says, I love eating raw, but my challenges are those times when I feel nauseated, especially during pregnancy. Any suggestions for raw food for nausea? You know, for pregnancy, I'm not I don't have a whole lot of knowledge when it comes to what to do during pregnancies. I know of many people that have been raw throughout their pregnancies. I would check out Jess Eats Fruit. I believe she was raw throughout her whole pregnancy, and she's still raw. So I would check out Jess Eats Fruit for advice on something like that. And you can find her on YouTube or on Instagram. I'm not sure if she was doing YouTube. I don't know if she still is. Should we be mindful of chewing? I've heard things like 40 times per bite. Is that accurate? Yeah, definitely. The more you can chew, the better your digestion is going to be. Your mouth is where you begin digestion. So, I'm definitely not going to probably do mukbangs my entire, you know, for all the time, because I'm probably not chewing as much as I should be. You know, when you're eating, you should really be in a state where you're just focused on your food. You don't have too many distractions. You're in a calm environment, and you chew your food really well into a mush. That way you're going to get the most out of your food. You know, we don't want to be spending our money on a bunch of food that we're just going to like swallow whole and get absolutely no nutrition out of it, right? That's the purpose of eating, to nourish our bodies. So chewing your food as good as you can is always a good practice. Yeah, chewing slowly is a big problem. I think it's a big problem for most people. I think we're just kind of, it's just part of our culture. I think we're just so fast paced, and, you know, so many distractions around us when we're eating. You know, it's just kind of something that happens. We don't slow down and take our time. Yeah, Chantal, me too. Dr. Morse explains the lymphatic system so well, you know, so easy for pretty much anybody could understand it. Yeah, he changed my life with giving me that understanding. How long does it usually take me to eat my salad? Probably like 45 minutes, I would say. Half hour to 45 minutes, maybe an hour. So maybe a half hour to an hour, something like that. All right. Cool. $50 a week budget. It'd be pretty tough to afford a raw diet on $50 a week, unfortunately. In America, yeah. I'm sure there's people that can probably do it, but is that going to come at an expense of your, just your mental state? Like, are you going to be super stressed trying to do that? Are you going to be satisfied? There's a lot of different things that go into health above just eating raw food. So if you've only got $50, if you can do it and you're comfortable with it and you're finding that you're satisfied and enjoying this, then do it. But if you're gonna have to really stress out and like really put in a lot of mental effort to do it, it might be better just to incorporate some cooked plant foods until your situation changes. I'm not just like a stickler for staying raw. I don't think that's the best approach for most people. People just, it's not practical for a lot of people to be 100% raw. It's not feasible financially, or if they've got big families or anything. I can only speak for what I'm doing personally. I don't have a family to feed, so I can only say what personally I do. And what I would suggest is just do what you can on a plant-based diet that is going to give you the best health, without the best physical and mental health that you can have. So find a balance. And don't get too just pigeonholed into just eating raw, because, raw, I think it's awesome, but there's other parts of our lifestyle that we need to balance with it. And finances, unfortunately, can dictate how we do it sometimes. Yeah. Gone with kale, you're so right. Costco is a savior. I get so many greens like romaine. Sometimes I'll get the power greens, spinach, and then the frozen fruit. Can't go wrong with that. By far the best deal on frozen fruit. What cooked foods are okay to consume? Whole plant foods. If it's a whole plant food, then you should be good to go. Beans, potatoes, steamed vegetables. I don't know, I'm not a big rice guy. But if you enjoy rice, rice. Whole plant foods are going to give you the fiber, the antioxidants, and other phytochemicals that are going to be beneficial for us. I know there's a lot of people that have promoted suggestions like cooked food is toxic. I don't necessarily believe it's toxic. I don't think it's as optimal as raw food. I do think raw food is our designed food, but I do recognize, I'm not that hard-headed to ignore the fact that, we've had, our grandparents were, eating so much raw or not raw food. They were eating a lot of cooked food, and of course it was much simpler back then and less processed, but they were eating a lot of cooked food, and, some of them were living into their hundreds, or close to it. So to say that cooked food is poison, I wouldn't really consider it poison. I would just consider it a little less optimal. But again, what does your situation dictate? Your mental health needs to come into play. So just find a balance, and whole plant foods are, going to steer you in the right direction. How's my mom? Thank you for asking, Tattooed Vegan. She's doing well. She has her ups and downs still, but she's doing well. Thank you. Do you eat the same thing over and over? A lot of times I do, yeah. But usually, so there's times that I will go, several days eating the exact same thing. But most of the time I do eat a big salad for dinner. I'm almost done. The main part of the salad is the same, but I change the dressing. So then it's like a whole new meal. It's completely different just because the dressing is different. And that's one way that I give myself some variety. I also do things like zucchini or cucumber noodles. Sometimes I'll do some vegetable chili that's raw. Different soups, and sometimes I'll do some wraps with either collards or nori sheets. Do sushi, those sorts of things. But most of the time it's a pretty narrow window of the things that I eat, just because it's what I enjoy and it's what works for me. So I think that's pretty much how most people live. Even people on cooked diets and animal-based product diets, most people eat generally the same. Like I can't remember the amount of meals that they say, but it's like 5 to 10 meals their entire lives. That's like basically what they eat. So it's just about finding what you enjoy and making it work. Yeah, quinoa and beans. The thing with cooked food, though, what I always recommend is when you eat cooked food, eat it with a big salad as well. Have that raw food in there as well. And that's just going to help with digestion. And it's just going to help, I think it helps satisfy people. Have a salad with their cooked food. And that way, you're getting in those live enzymes, you're getting in the great benefits from the greens, and you're not going to get as constipated potentially when you're getting in those greens as well. So I always recommend people eat a big salad when they're consuming cooked food. Tattooed Vegan asks what my thoughts are on salt, good or bad. I think a little bit can be okay, but I don't think that it is a health food. I don't think it's necessary. I think if people need salt, like just a little bit to keep them happy with their food, go for it. I don't think a little bit is going to cause any harm. But I think when you start adding it in, people tend to start adding in more and more. So it's just, if you can do it and stick with just adding just a little bit, you'll be all right. But salt is very dehydrating. It's stimulating to our taste buds. It deadens our taste buds. That makes regular unsalted food taste bland. So a little bit's okay, but I wouldn't suggest doing any more than that. My thoughts on soy. Eating tofu once a month healthy. Is eating tofu once a month healthy? I don't think it's unhealthy to eat it once a month. I'm not a fan of soy. I don't eat it, but if it's make sure it's organic if you're gonna consume it, because the majority of it is genetically modified. I think eating it once a month or a couple times a month isn't going to do any harm. I know there's a lot of vegans out there that eat quite a bit of soy, and they seem to be doing okay. So I think it can be incorporated into a healthy diet, but I don't consume it personally. It is, tofu is processed slightly, so it's what works for you. And some people might consume tofu now, and in a few years maybe they don't consume it anymore. It's really just about where you are in your personal transition to wherever you're going with your diet. And even if you're at the point in your diet where you feel like you're set, like you have found what works and what you're going to stick with for the rest of your life, if soy is part of that, then more power to you. I think that it can definitely be included into a diet, but I personally just don't consume it. So, all right, guys. Well, I am done with my salad. Let me check. Are there any more questions here? Are there certain things that seem like a raw food? Are there certain things that seem like a raw food are okay on a raw food diet but aren't? Well, yeah. I mean, when people get into a lot of like the refined sugars, like agave and things like that, I don't necessarily think those are healthy or beneficial. But again, I mean, it really depends on how much people are consuming it. I mean, if they're having agave like once a month, really that's probably not going to be doing much. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the raw like desserts that are out there, same thing that I just said. If you're eating them, on a rare occasion, I think is fine. But when people start to get into those raw desserts and those really high nut and seed based gourmet raw meals, if you're eating that on a regular basis, I don't think you're going to find very good health. You'll probably be lethargic and not digesting your food very well. You'll have poor elimination. It's just too high fat, fat, or the nuts and the seeds with, it's just not optimal. So I would say parts of the raw food diet that might not be as optimal if you're consuming it more than just on a rare occasion would be those really gourmet, high nut and seed foods and the refined sugars. But, if you have any like specific questions, let me know in case I'm forgetting something. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here and listening. Again, this is pretty much my first live stream, so I think it went pretty good, and I had a great time hanging out with you guys. Like I said, we'll see. I don't know. Like, I feel like I ate my salad. I chewed enough, but I probably could have chewed a little better. So, but I enjoyed it. I enjoy hanging out with you guys and answering your questions, and I hope we can, start maybe doing this at least weekly. Let me know what you guys, would prefer, and we'll go from there. So, yeah, thanks, guys. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Have a good Sunday tomorrow. And Happy New Year to you guys as well. I really like seeing some of you guys in the chat box, so this was fun. All right, well, I'm going to go wash my bowl, and we'll see what happens the rest of the night. But have a great night, and always follow your raw intuition.